What's up, everybody? It's Joe LaPuma. You were watching the Complex Sneakers podcast. As always, I'm joined, first off to my right, by my friend, Mr. Matt Welty.
It's Friday. A little different.
Yep.
But we're inside.
Vibes are up, energy's up. White tees across.
I love that.
To my left, Mr. Brendan Dunn. He got the Uniqlo white tee. I notice it.
You can see it, right?
Yeah,
you can see it.
I'm familiar.
Uniqlo U crew neck tee.
Yep. Best in the business.
Mm-hmm. Welty, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, because
he posted this morning.
Yeah,
I am not okay.
You posted,
I was not okay.
You posted
for a
an
while.
Instagram story and you said, "I am not okay."
I was not okay at that moment.
What was happening? This was you up before 7 a.m. doing more work than Joe LaPuma as per usual.
Yes.
Always right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it was just it was like a really heavy deadlift workout, and I just did not feel. It was one of those where you lay there for 30 minutes after and just contemplate your existence.
Yeah.
Let me ask you. Seth Rollins has a nickname. Do you know what it is?
No.
CrossFit Jesus.
Yeah, he does CrossFit.
Who's Seth Rollins?
He's a very popular WWE
And he's also
wrestler. Let me ask you.
Armenian American.
Are you trying to be CrossFit baby Jesus? Are you? You're leaning into it.
I don't know.
All right. He's not okay.
Are you a Seth Rollins fan?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, we're starting to put together.
But Seth Rollins does not influence my decisions.
Well, Joe's showing me a picture of Seth Rollins, and I feel like you're right there.
How Seth Rollins became CrossFit Jesus? I thought this was you from the thumbnail at first.
You know what the other thing is? When he said, "I'm not okay," so a little PSA as per usual. When this happens, we're recording this a bit early. We'll get back to regularly scheduled when we return, but we're banking some episodes. So the Drake album came out last night before we recorded this, and I feel like that is something that would throw Welty off.
No, it was
a new Drake album.
No, it was so. Here's like not to like peel the curtain back,
Peel it
but
back,
like
baby.
no, with my group chat of friends with our friend Paul, PG, and other people.
Back at it.
Of course.
There's just a phrase in Armenian where you say "lav chem," which means "I'm not okay," but it's like a joke that we all say to each other all day.
Okay.
Like, I'm not okay, but
Lav
I've like
chem.
in that moment also was not okay.
Okay, so here's the thing. Did either of us ask if he was actually okay?
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
When the IG post went.
Yeah.
No. I was sure that in that moment he was fine.
being a little dramatic.
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
the next post was what? French toast, like the Rock's
bagel?
cheat meal?
The
Rock's
bagel
Rock's
with the
cheat
lox
meal?
spilling out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But am I wrong about the Drake album thing?
I haven't heard it.
What were you bumping in the gym this morning?
Man.
Bam?
Taylor Swift?
Whatever they just put on.
You don't have access to the playlist at the box?
Usually not. I mean, one time on my birthday, they asked me, "What do you want to play?"
Well, let's hear it.
And the answer was, "Hootie and the Blowfish, Hold My Hand."
Wow, that's what you're throwing plates around?
You know, like
That's
the
what I-
deadlifts are going crazy. And
You throwing plates around till I
Who be
only want to
singing
be
in
with
your
you?
Yes, I could do both of those.
Okay. All right.
Darius Rucker,
Darius
come on the show.
Rucker?
Come on the show.
Darius
Wow.
Rucker's a legend.
That's ringing out in the gym.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, look at secrets revealed on a Friday.
Peeling back the curtain
Yep.
as much as possible.
For sure.
Yeah, the Drake thing, just to me,
Okay.
when a new Drake album drops, it takes me back to a certain era and complex that
Oh,
I
yeah.
have fond memories of, but I feel like you don't necessarily have fond
Why?
memories
Because you
of.
didn't like...
I feel like you're always critical of, circa 2015,
2015.
being in Kinfolk.
What was the album?
Did you guys go to Kinfolk together a lot?
If you're reading
Not a
this,
lot.
if you're reading this, it's too late. That
Yeah.
one.
When that album came out, that was
When that album came out,
you had to dress exactly
it was
like
a
him.
surprise, or he announced it that night. I remember exactly where we were. Well, not
We,
not
I
us
mean, I
together.
wasn't
Yeah.
with you.
We were at the old Kith office. Me, Victor, Ronnie, some other people, and the album just
Victor.
dropped. Victor Cruz.
Okay.
And yeah, the album just dropped, and we just stayed there for like an hour just playing.
You didn't take it to Gold Bar right after?
No, we didn't go to Gold Bar that night, but I forgot where we went. But yeah,
I just remember that was the era of like people like standing on the couches.
Yes,
at
this is the zone I wanted to get him in.
Like,
Go off,
with the
go off.
with the squad.
Yep.
You know.
yeah.
Dancing to Drake, like toasting to their successes, and I'm like, dude, we write fucking blog posts on the internet. Like, what are we
Wow,
like popping?
look at you! Look at you!
This is
You
exactly
think
what I
you
wanted
have
to
fun?
I know, but what are we like popping champagne about? Like,
The chart beat going crazy.
I never really went to Kinfolk with that was like I went a few times, but not with like.
That
damn,
was such
that's
a complex
interesting.
thing.
Wasn't me.
no.
Okay.
I remember. Oh no. I'm
Well, to be honest, let's be honest. If it was me, He wouldn't have said people. It was. I just remember 2017.
No, I wouldn't.
Joe.
I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to bring it up. I remember a very infamous night at Kinfolk, but we
Wait,
can totally
you said
cut it
we
there.
don't have to bring it up, and then
No.
you brought it up.
No, we can't bring it up.
Can't bring that one
Do you
up.
know what he's talking about? I don't.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not asking for details. I just.
Okay.
Are there safer things we could talk about?
Go ahead. Go on your list, please.
What else? Some sneakers. Have we talked about the Gucci Adidas stuff on here yet?
No, but
I love that stuff.
would you get so?
I wouldn't pay for it.
They're really expensive.
I
That's
would not pay for it.
And I
But
know I was talking about the people shouldn't say that the
Made in England New Balance is too expensive, and
Yes.
here you are complaining about the prices of Gucci
no.
Adidas.
Hey, I understand why that's the price point, but I'm just not going to spend $875 on a pair of shoes. That's all.
I'm with you.
You won't. You
I
won't.
won't.
Do it.
But I
Which
think
one do
it's
you
a-
like? It looks. I think it looks really good as well.
Yeah,
I think
the
some of them are
tracksuits
good.
cool. Yeah, I mean, and it's exciting because I think Adidas has such a lack of good product right now. I just
Oh,
don't think
yeah.
there's very much
Oh, yeah.
exciting Adidas product. Yeezy to me is carrying that thing right now in terms of excitement, not in terms of sheer numbers, but I'm just like, what else does Adidas have going
You know,
on?
and the problem too is a lot of times there'll be like a random shoe that like looks kind of cool. You know, like I think we were talking about the other day. There was like a Supernova Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
shoe
that
were, like,
Supernova runner is cool. There's some
Yeah, it
exciting
looks
stuff
cool,
coming for
but
that.
also in the back of my head, I know that like this is just kind of like a mildly cool shoe, but it doesn't matter in the grander scheme of like how hot is this brand right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Gucci Adidas is dope.
No, but I
Yeah.
think the Gucci Adidas is good. Was talking to a friend of ours who ended up getting a pair, and they wanted to let people know that they run really big.
I can see
Okay.
that.
I like the pink one.
You gonna buy him, Joe?
Pink is
No.
nice. I think the standout pair though still is like the monogram.
Yeah.
I trust me, I like those shoes.
Look at our boy though.
Yeah, I like
Who
those
won?
shoes, but man,
Joe, who are you showing me a picture of?
Paul Pogba.
Paul Pogba and Gucci Adidas.
Yeah.
I just don't think
Your close
maybe
personal
just for
friend?
me, and I mean I'm sure you guys have like different lines on it, but $875 for a sneaker across the board is a line I'm not really willing to cross.
No, unless it's for some old grail that I've wanted for a long time.
Yeah. There was a wedding I went to recently, and I thought about like it was kind of like a beachy type of wedding, I would say, and I thought about maybe pairing like a black suit with the black Prada's America Cup, but I didn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I think there's like a like
Prada America
No,
Cup.
yeah.
I would probably do. I have
also another shoe that
I
runs
respect
big.
that.
But you know, it's like there's a difference between a shoe retails for like $250, $300. You're like that's kind of a lot, but if I really want them, I'll like maybe splurge and get the shoes. Versus when you're getting closer to like the $1,000 like benchmark, where you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
can't
lot.
I can't really cross that.
Yeah, I'm not getting close to that just yet. Joe, you got some travel coming up. Can we talk about that? Will you
Well,
be out of the country for a while, or is it
Yeah,
up in the air?
not a while. Short stay.
Yeah.
Long flight. Different country.
International sneaker shopping shoot?
Yeah.
This
and it was-
this hemisphere?
Meaning the western or the northern?
I mean, any of them. Are you like going
Listen,
to like?
they
Well, I mean,
sent-
there's a difference between
Trip-
going to a different
listen,
country
Trip
and being
Actions-
like, hey,
Let me tell you, Trip Action sends the itinerary. I get in the car. I go to the airport.
You don't
I
even know
find
what
the
day of the
gate,
week it
I
is.
find the gate and we land. But yeah, it was supposed to be a longer trip. It's going to be a short trip, but excited about it. That's all I'll say. It's one that I always say, oh, we can't say. Really can't say. It's a good one though.
can't say.
No. Can't say.
Yeah. I have an exciting one coming up.
Vacay.
Not a vacation, but a little trip.
Where you going?
I'm going to go to Mexico,
Oh, CDMX.
and I'm going to see
Our mural.
in person for the
wait
first
a
time
minute.
the mural,
Did they invite you down?
that
or-
beautiful piece of art that has immortalized us on the streets of Mexico City.
So you never say where you're going to go. Is this a vacay or a trip or?
It's not really a vacation.
They're-
I'm just going out for the weekend
Did you finesse the
to
trip?
attend a sneaker expo out there.
Okay.
Yeah. But most importantly, I'm going to see the mural.
Meet and greet.
Yeah, I'll talk to some fans.
Do you have your own booth?
No, I don't have a booth
Oh,
or
okay.
anything like that. They
I've
just
heard
wanted to
that-
bring me out, and I think I'm going to appear on a podcast down there.
Okay.
I've heard
Yeah.
that Mexico City is a really fun place. To
I
go.
love it. And
I've
you
never
know,
been, but I've heard
Short,
it's a
short
really
flight, right?
Not too bad. 5 hours maybe, I think. But, the important thing, again, I want to bring it back
The
to
mural.
this, is we all have a reason to go to Mexico City now because there's a mural
Yes.
with our faces on it.
Absolutely.
Right there
I wanna
next
see
to
that.
Virgil Abloh and Jeff Staple and Justin Bieber and Yoon Ambush. Good company.
Big company.
Patrick from SpongeBob is also on the.
That's true. Great company. Another,
All our contemporaries.
another thing I want to bring up, and I want to get your guys' take on it. Truest Hawaii did a post about should JLP do a sneaker
Yes.
shopping. It's not about me, but I want to ask you guys a question. Who would be the perfect guest to bring there?
I told you,
let's
start
Obama.
I love to. a comment on there
I
that
saw, but what
that I think that would probably be maybe one of the most natural people.
Who?
Max Holloway.
He's a Hawaiian dude.
UFC
Yes.
fighter.
What
Yeah.
about The Rock?
The Rock would be good.
But I'm just saying,
Marcus Mariota?
who would be in Hawaii?
Ed Catmull?
I don't think
Just throwing out names.
Marcus Mariota, Oregon Duck legend,
Yes.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also backup quarterback right now in the NFL, so I don't think he's gonna make the sneaker
Oh,
shopping
man.
Max Holloway.
But here's the
Shouts to
thing.
Max Holloway. I've talked to him actually.
Blessed MMA.
Yeah.
Joe, if you did a sneaker shopping in Hawaii, which I would love and all the Hawaiian people would love, you wouldn't feel obligated to go to Kith? You seem like you spit up some water there when I asked. right?
you know
the
what-
conflicts are
I would
spinning.
do it at Truest.
Okay.
People said PJ Tucker, which is like
That'd be cool because
that-
it'd be
yeah,
a real
that's-
destination for him.
and that's
yeah.
why, like, you know, we've had PJ Tucker on the show.
Not this show, your
no,
show.
yeah, multiple times, and like, but that would be one.
Yeah.
Do you know what'd be a banger? Non like celeb guest.
Don't
but,
say PG knows.
Nope, but would make sense.
Good luck booking
So
that.
you're in Hawaii, you know, halfway across the Pacific.
Hemisphere.
Yeah. Also, I said halfway across the Pacific Ocean, right?
Uh-huh.
Someone else who lives maybe like 3/4 of the way to there, who could meet you in Hawaii, who would go to Truest and ball the F out. Big Boy Chang
Yeah.
at Truest Hawaii, buying all these super
Now
rare
we're getting
grails.
warmer.
Yeah.
That
Now
would
we're
be
getting warmer.
you know, it's
I
like
thought you were going to say someone Australian.
no, but I think that would actually be pretty sweet to watch.
Okay.
Yeah. Any big Australian guests you've been targeting?
Do the accent.
Yeah, mate.
No, I don't think so.
Danny Ricciardo, right, mate?
Oh yeah, he passed.
Yeah.
Passed.
What about some Kiwi action? Peter Jackson?
Do that accent.
then-
Accent hour
Do
with
the
Brendan
do the
Dunn.
Jada laugh. All right.
That wasn't
Here
my
we
best.
get it. It's okay. What else we got?
Should we talk about shoes? I guess we've been talking about shoes a little bit.
Yeah, we can. It's a sneakers podcast. The sneakers is still in the title? Yeah. Okay.
Matthew Williams, foam runner type thing.
It's like a slide. Is there like a retail price on that?
No,
sure. I didn't see.
no info. Just
Interesting to see.
just a
You know,
look at the shoe.
those, the Fear of God mules, the Bottega,
Yeah,
it's a thing, man.
It's a
and
moment.
They all look,
I'm still team foam runner overall. Those, but the MMW one does look pretty cool.
you know who else is Team Foam Runner? A guest is coming up soon. Sneaker
On-
shopping. That will drop a hint on sneaker shopping.
Oh, I don't even know that.
Yes, you do.
I've only actually worn my foam runners like twice and never outside.
That you're missing the best.
I only
The
got
best
the
way
ones
to wear
Yanni
'em.
gave me.
I think they're little. It's weird. They run on the smaller side.
Yeah, you're right about that. And it's only full sizes.
And
right?
it's weird because it's
That's a
like
full-
that shoe doesn't stretch at all because it's foam. So
Yeah.
if your toe presses against the end, it feels a little funny.
I'm sorry. I just realized
Yes.
who's big on foam runners.
and
that
it's a
Joe
good one.
mentioned.
It's a
Yes.
good part. If I'm in Florida shooting and then I extend the trip a little bit, I have been like wearing. I need to get to the point where I start wearing like good sandals. So like Yeezy slides, I have multiple pairs, and I just like won't wear them to the beach. I go to like CVS and I buy the little thong sandals.
with
and
the Brazilian flag on.
what
What are they
about
called?
not even those.
Javianas?
What is it?
Not even Javianas.
Javianas?
Like
Yeah.
the $3 ones,
Oh.
and like I really need to step it up and like
You know what you need to cop to really bring it back is are the
Rihanna?
reefs.
No, the old
Tevas?
the Old Navy.
The American flag. Did
Sandals?
you ever wear the July
Those were
4th
like- I think
Old Navy shirt? I know
No,
you
I
did.
know-
Don't
no.
lie.
Fate of Glory?
Yeah, no.
Fate of
Every
Glory?
year
No,
they
no,
did
no,
the
I
July
never-
4th.
I never had
You at the
that.
Cop that-
You didn't know New Hampshire?
No, I never had
Okay.
the.
Straight out of Walmart.
I never had the.
The Old Navy did every year the little flag. I thought.
I never had that.
Okay. Do you guys wear like expensive sandals on vacay? I know you wear the foam runners, but I need to. Like,
All
if,
the-
say you go to the Far Rockaway Beach or whatever, or Jersey City.
We only do Jersey Shore.
Okay, Jersey Shore. Say you go to Jersey Shore,
Get it right.
and like,
There were two pairs
do you
of
wear-
sandals
yeah.
that I was thinking of buying, and I never ended up
which ones?
buying them. There was a pair of Adidas Adilettes that were in like the National Parks pack that were
Okay.
like a
good
Gore-Tex upper on it, which was weird. And I was like,
Gore-Tex on your slides.
yeah, and I was thinking, or like Cordura or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. And I was
yeah.
thinking of buying those. I never did. And they also did a Spezial Adilette, but those sold out like.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, but it was all navy, pretty sweet. But I will say the two slides that I have, I don't want to say struggle, but it's not really things I picked out.
Yeah.
I have a pair of Fila slides that got sent to me from our good friend Dennis the Disco,
Okay.
Shouts to Dennis.
Sorry about Boston.
and then there's a pair of
Tough one.
Complex Con Sandal Boys exclusives that
Oh, I
Fran
have a
gave
pair
me.
of those. Shout out to Franelations.
Those are the 2 sandals.
The Adilets are perfect. Remember they had the ID? I made one all black
Dude.
and all red.
You can do Adidas Adilet.
Let's be real
custom.
though. Adilet slide
Should be the original.
is the elite
Yes.
slide out of
Jerry
any
always wears them.
out of any brand.
Breaking news,
I have
though.
never actually worn them. Breaking news?
Yeah.
Joe just got a
I don't know if
text.
we have to blur this out. I'm on Slack. You guys aren't. Justin Bollis, keep my name out your fucking mouth. And we may have to
Justin
cut
Bollis
it-
just texted
We
you?
may have to cut it because I don't want to bring Slack. The sound Joe made when you uttered my name, I'll remember that for a long time. There's a smear
Oh,
campaign.
wow.
Let me clear my name. We may have to take this out. I don't, but we'll ask him if
No.
it's okay. Look at it in all caps.
We gotta
He
give,
heard
we gotta
it.
give the context. This is Justin Bollis from First We Feast.
Who we
were
mentioned
talking
2 weeks ago.
a little bit in our
About him
recent
thumbing,
podcast episode
thumbing his
about
nose up at your choice of restaurants.
how much of a elitist he is when it comes to food destinations in his hometown.
Damn,
of
he
LA.
heard it. Not even 24 hours to respond. Look at him.
Pair
This
of
is like a Drake Pusha thing.
pair of slides that I'm surprised that Joe isn't going in the archives to get. Or you hunting down on StockX, which I think is
Still early in the day. Let me know.
one of the coolest slides
StockX?
ever done.
eBay.
Because they were like 24. Oh,
He'll be
yes.
on eBay.
Yep, 2014, I think. It was the fragment Nike Benassi slides.
Wait, so I have a pair of Benassis, not the
Dude,
fragment ones.
when
They're
the
all still-
Benassis
it's
were
a
hitting,
suede. It's like a gray black suede upper and with no branding.
I really wanted the liquid metal Nike Benassi slide, and I remember exactly where I was in Portland, Oregon, on my phone trying to buy those. I think that was pre-sneakers. I feel like that was a Nike.com drop, or maybe it was sneakers. Someone will remember, but I remember really wanting
Those
those.
Stussy Benassi slides are sweet too.
I don't have that.
And also,
don't remember
I
that.
just want to say to all the people that we love out there who are running sneaker meme accounts, I do not want to see you post. I saw this like 1,000 times in the past like 2 weeks. Is that
It's
like
not the one of you
no?
in the Heelys.
It's the one of the guy who left his Benassi slides like in the car and they shrunk or something like that. I have seen that post everywhere. Stop posting it for engagement, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
you heard it. Public service announcement.
Oh, should we do some more public service? Should we give away some sneakers?
Let's give away some
Yep.
sneakers.
All right. With our friends at eBay, as we do every week, and as we remind you every week, or we try to, it's only open to U.S. residents. We appreciate all our many viewers across the globe, but you just got to sit this one out. Here's how you can enter to win a free pair of sneakers from us here on the Complex Sneakers Podcast. If you go to ebay.complex.com, you can submit a question for us to answer here on the air. If we pick your question, if we select your question, we're going to select for you a special pair of shoes, and we're going to send you those shoes for free, courtesy of eBay. Joe, should we get to the shoes that we're giving away?
Absolutely.
What's the sneaker?
The sneaker is
Behind your back.
Two times.
two-time.
We gave these
two-time
away before?
award winner. Yes.
Okay.
It's a great grail. The guy who designed them was on this podcast. Go check that out. Pre-YouTube.
Yes.
Pre-YouTube. Stash Air Max 95. Let's look at it.
I would ask you to throw it to me because I want to hold it in my hands, but I'm worried the bubbles are going to...
It's a little cloudy. I'm not going to lie, but maybe it's something that you just
Welty
put-
doing ASMR of
Yeah, a
Air
little
Max
cloudy.
95
Let
bubble
me ask you guys.
dying.
So you see how cloudy? How long will
Can I
these
hold
last? Yeah.
Seven.
Oh my!
Dude,
see?
I'm so sorry.
That's
I'm
all
so
right.
sorry.
Steps.
I am
Sorry.
left-handed.
Yeah, we're gonna get it. Yeah.
I am left-handed.
And also not good at sports.
Wow.
Both
I'll
of
get
those
it.
things.
Hold on.
So the people who can't see the visuals, Joe tried to hand me the shoe, and it was in my hand for a brief moment, and then it careened.
Not even close.
Well out of my control and onto the floor. But the good thing is there are no shards of the shoe decorating the
sports.
floor beneath us. No,
Heard that.
still in one piece. What do you say?
Can't play sports.
It reminds.
It's not true.
It reminds me of
true.
Do you guys remember when there was? This is very random. Do you remember when there was like a Pagal Nike basketball
Yes.
tournament?
Yeah,
Yes.
of course.
In the complex.
We got smoked.
We
I
got
remember
smoked,
going.
and
Bro.
it was like Maurice. I forget who else.
Didn't have the right amount of ringers.
Sean Evans was on the team.
He was?
Yeah, and there was like one of the street ball announcers,
I went.
and the guy kept on giving him a nickname. He's like, does not play basketball.
I remember that. And didn't the ASAP team win?
It was
ASAP Worldwide?
It was like ASAP versus the Pagal team, which is a bunch of
remember. We got smoked that night.
Beautiful shoe. Sorry, I'm going to hand this back
That's
to you.
okay.
That was a fun event though.
But yeah, this is a great pair to have in the collection. And the person who's getting it, Omar Ortiz, Dallas, Texas. He asks, what is your underrated favorite shoe of the year so far?
I got an easy pick. And we'll come back to this
Beams,
because...
Reebok?
No. Because...
Beams. Eames, Reebok?
Well, Beams does Reeboks too, so I'm not mad at you. Soon we will probably come back on here and discuss our 10 best sneakers of the year so far list. Y'all will get that soon. But underrated real quick, to me, the New Balance 990 V3 Sea Salt, one of those Teddy Santis pairs.
That's the white one?
White, yeah, the white leather one.
Those are nice.
With the yellow toward the bottom. They look a lot like that This Is Never That. Did I say the brand?
Yes.
Yeah.
This Is Never That.
2002
R. I like them. Very clean. And so many of those New Balances I don't participate in because they're all so suede, and I don't love suede sneakers.
You hate suede shoes.
I don't hate.
All right.
But that one is leather, clean mesh, little bit of yellow on there. I like those a lot. Underrated to me.
That would be a dream during the finish line days. You walk in and they're beat up, and I just have the white leather, and you're trying to sell. Not him. We know that he's not trying to sell. But me trying to sell.
Yeah,
the white leather,
you
the
would
white
close the
leather
deal.
scuff and stain cleaner. You come in, they're dirty. Oh, one more thing I have to show you: the scuff and stain eraser.
Hold on. Are you getting down on your knees and
Yes.
buffing the scuff off the toe box with my shoes?
100%.
Wait,
Wow.
I thought
Yes.
You would do that for me? Or
I did it
for a customer?
I thought-
every customer, but yes, scuff and stain eraser was magical.
And would you
the
do it,
white
Welty?
leather
it
scuffs, not even
depends.
dirt.
I
Scuffs.
didn't really do that, but
Deep bruises would disappear.
Gone. Especially on the shoes that you just said. All white leather, easy, $4.99.
I thought you were.
Would you rather pay $4.99 now,
Here
or
goes
would
the sales pitch.
Would you rather pay $4.99 now, or would you have to come back in a month for a brand new pair of sneakers and
Sir?
spend $80?
Here's my
Oh, that's a
money.
good-
I'll pay the
That's
$4.99.
it.
Here's my
him
card.
him in the background with the Arthur meme, just
Vein popping out of his
Yeah,
forehead.
exactly.
The
You
You can also
volcanic.
use this show, but anyways,
I don't know about that.
in the words of Dom Kennedy, shoe cleaner, heck no, a rag and some wet soap. But
Sheesh.
anyways, I thought the joke was going to be, because you were talking about the shoes being a little yellowed, is that you'd have no problem selling shoes back in the day to Brendan at Finish Line, because he'd be the one guy to be happy to get the faded display shoe,
Because it was more vintage.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the right one's yellow.
Faux vintage.
I thought
I
that
could've-
that's where you were taking the
That's
joke.
where I would have drawn the line to be like, oh, the plus vintage wasn't really a trend back then.
Scuff and
but
stain won't take that out?
The yellow, you'd have to give a discount.
Hit
the
me with some
display
sea
model.
glow. I'll be glowing.
Bab, zoom in real quick. Look at how good this looks. I don't know if it's just a monitor. Look at how good this shoe looks, though.
Anyways, what's your underrated shoe, Joe?
These, and I'm happy I wore these. I know you guys hate them.
Yeah,
I know
those
you
are
guys hate
rated
'em. That's why I'm
perfectly for
happy.
me.
I think these are underrated.
Low on the hierarchy
I think
of
these are
Supreme
underrated
Nikes.
just because I like them.
Supreme Zoom Flight 95.
Yeah, I like them, and not that it matters, but I will say when I wore them on set, like people were like, "Oh, our boy Sergio." So I will say, our boy Sergio was like, "Oh, those actually look."
That
pretty good."
matters.
Yep. So it's a big cosign. I would say these are my underrated. If I had to think right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Welty?
Is that a sort of shoe you could caught like set tripping in or something like that?
Because of the bandana?
Yeah.
It's black. I mean, what's yours, please? Okay.
Just answer the question.
What is your
Underrated
now that
shoe.
you put it out in the world? What is your underrated?
I would say I've worn them, and I've said it's one of my favorite shoes this year was the Highs and Lows A6
Yeah.
Gel 1130, which people keep on asking
Take
me
it back to Australia.
if that shoe is going to release other places, because I guess it only released at Highs and Lows
Only
in another store in
Canada,
Australia, and
yeah.
I don't think it is, so sorry.
All right.
All right, we got it. And Omar, shouts to you getting these great pair, classic, beautiful
Stash Air Max 95.
Stash Air Max 95.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Should we bring on our guest?
Absolutely.
Someone we've been wanting to have on here for a while.
Yep. Our guest on today's podcast has held design and creative director positions for some of streetwear and menswear's biggest brands over the past couple of decades. Getting his start being around the retail scene in the 90s, he ended up working for Supreme, where he was part of some of the most hyped design projects in the brand's storied tenure. He's even had his own laces company, Starks, that ended up collaborating with everyone from Marc Jacobs and Colette to Timberland and Cause. As mentioned, besides Supreme, throughout his years, he had stops as the head creative at Billionaire Boys Club and Burton Snowboards before starting his own studio, Studio Dymond, a full-service creative agency for product design that has helped with footwear design for Mephisto, Nike SB, IRAK times Adidas, and more. We'll get into all those different projects and more with today's guest, our friend, Alex Dymond. Alex, welcome. We've been wanting to do this for a while. Got a couple false starts, but you're here now. So happy to have you. How's it going?
Very well. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Definitely.
It's an honor for us because, Alex, you're one of those guys who, like, your name is around a lot. And you're one of the quiet, behind-the-scenes sneaker people that
Yes.
you've contributed to a lot, but it's not totally transparent what you've contributed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
for sure. I mean, sort of a conscious decision. I kind of hate doing stuff like this.
Oh my God.
Well, we're
Collab me
glad.
for 5 minutes.
There's not,
and then you can take
there's
off.
not like NDAs signed that like that force that or no?
There's been lots of NDAs as well. So, you know, I kind of decided to go behind the scenes. I was doing press when I was younger, and then I don't know, I just sort of didn't like it. You know, just especially the sneakerhead world. It's like ruthless. You know.
Did it ever backfire on you back then, or?
No, not necessarily, but you know, I just like, I think being good as sort of a self promoter and a networker and things like that, that's a skill set in itself, you know. And what I care about is product and culture and design, you know. And it's not like my first nature, so it's just sort of something that I sort didn't necessarily need to do. And then also for some of the companies I worked for, it's very not about that. So it just really wasn't my lane, you know, and I decided to go way more behind the scenes, sort of became too much of a ghost. And every year, you know, beginning of the year, I'm sort of like task myself like, all right, I'm going to try to be a little more like visible this year. I'm going to
Because we have like, you know, we had like Salehi on the show recently, and he talked a lot about like having to go out there and brand himself to like kind of step away from just being the person who's like the creative director at the brand. Do you see people making those moves and you're like, I need to do that or else I'm going to get left behind and not get opportunities? Or?
Yeah. I mean, that happened years ago, and it sort of, and I saw it happen, you know, and I was just sort of like, well, not this point now, I'm a bit obsolete, you know, so, but I'm doing all these things behind the scenes. I'm working every day. I'm busy, you know, so it sort of didn't matter. But at the end of the day, opportunity for me is most important. And so much of the work that I've had to do, you have someone that is, you know, let's say like the final sign off, and they don't necessarily understand or get or know a fraction of what you know, right? And to have to kind of bend and water something down or have something come out not as you envision it is a frustrating process often, you know, to make those compromises. And that's a part of life, right? You know, it's everyone has to make a compromise. But that is something that is definitely in the more recent years really encouraged and pushed me to be more open to do stuff like this, to try to find that visibility, to understand the marketing, which is such an important piece. I mean, even marketing a shoe, right? Its success is often how well it's marketed, and, you know, a number of other things too. But
Alex, we always talk about the shoes we're all wearing before we really get into it. Can you describe what you have on feet here?
That's funny. I didn't know about this part. Probably would have worn something different because it's a little embarrassing. It's the Mephisto that I did recently and worked on. So I guess I'm wearing my own thing. But
that's cool.
Nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm wearing my own thing too. I designed these at ComplexCon a few years back. This is the Air Force Done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Air Force Done. I like that.
It says it on the tongue.
All right, cool. So we're both tributing. A little embarrassing, but all good.
Wearing Zoom Flight 95 Supreme collab. Little nod to our friend over here who joined us.
I'm wearing the Solomon. I think this is the Skyline colorway.
Beautiful shoe.
Yeah, love those.
Nice lineup.
Yeah, I feel like we got to talk very explicitly about the things you've been working on for the past few years. One of my favorite is the Olivia Kim collection for Nike. Can you talk about your role in that? I know Olivia's your wife.
Yeah.
How involved were you in designing those sneakers?
You know, Olivia and I have always sort of collaborated since before we were even a couple. We had worked, with my company Starks, I had done lace for her with opening ceremony when she was there. And we just, I get her, right? And I know her references, and I know her, what she responds to.
Yeah.
And she's always been a sneakerhead. Like, she had Jordan 4s that she bought at Fulton, like
before she knew you.
Yeah. Like when she was, just coming up, and I know, grew up like going to Palladium and, raves, and was straight edge for a while, and the Tunnel and hip hop and, Sway and all these different things, these cultural important things of New York.
Was she stomping people out of the tunnel?
I think so.
Just the Dipset era and DMX. Yeah.
She was there a couple of nights when, so when it all came about, it sort of started as just an NXN thing, which she started for Nordstrom.
What's her role at Nordstrom?
She's VP of Creative.
Okay.
I believe. And she, had this cool opportunity, and and then the people at Nike that happened to be working on the project were old friends that I've worked with over the years. And one of them, I mean, with Dave, I literally went to a job interview that I had no interest in, taking at the time. This is many years ago when they're opening up 21 Mercer.
This is Dave Ericker.
Yeah, Dave Ericker. Just so I could, be like, listen, thank you. This is great. I have this guy that you need to meet who's so good. And, they're like, oh yeah, who is he? And he sent him and he got the job. And, Dave has done an amazing things at Nike and has really done his thing there. And he happened to be, just by chance, a part of it. So, we just all really started vibing and kind of connecting. And then they'd done some design and, I think Olivia liked everything, but she was sort of like, I'm thinking a little bit of this. And we started collaborating together and, I had gotten her, I guess they're actually dubbed Cav 4s, but I always called them the Knicks 4s years ago. And she had this picture that she had taken with a fur jacket and the 4s. And, it's kind of like how the pony hair came about. I just came across it looking through my, reference and archive and was like, boom, and we just continued to kind of flesh it out like that together. So I was pretty involved, but, she's the final word. There was a couple things that I really wanted to do differently.
She vetoed, huh?
Yeah, like the friends and family clear. I'm actually still thinking I might need to customize a pair, find someone who's a good customizer to do a pair.
Was it your idea to do the Betty Boop Air Force Ones?
Yeah, the Betty Boop was I mean, talk about culture, right? There's literally bootleg Betty Boop Nike apparel, Canal Street
Bootleg.
style from the 90s, right? And it was such an interesting sort of process to repackage appropriation like that, and then have it actually come out with Nike. And that sort of tapped into a lot of what I was saying, the rave culture, the flyers, all the logo appropriation that happens within that world.
Did you have to license? The
Yeah.
Betty Boop logo and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, Nike didn't bootleg it.
I don't know. Sometimes it's they draw it and it's a little bit off, and they're like, wink,
No.
wink.
It was. And we actually sort of changed her wink into a swoosh, which I thought was a
That's
really
cool.
cool detail in that. But yeah, it was done properly with them, and
I love the footscape, the zebra footscape.
Those are great.
That was a moment when my girlfriend was looking for the right pair of sneakers, and sometimes women's sneakers, there's just not that much cool stuff out there, and I was like, this is the one.
Yep.
Footscape.
And the Moab, the brown Moab.
Those are nice too.
I wore them for Rick Ross's closet episode. He literally was like, "How could I get a pair of those?"
Yeah.
I told someone from Nike, but we ended up buying them and we sent it to him. And he 2 weeks ago he DM'd me him wearing it. We'll put the fit in. But
Have you seen the fit?
No, that I have
Alex,
to
I
see
should
it.
have sent that to you
That's
2 weeks ago.
amazing.
He DM'd me it. We'll put it in. I'll show you. But yeah, he had the Moabs on. They're fire.
Did he have a shirt on?
Thank you.
He did have a shirt on. It was a full fit. Full fit.
Important question.
Yeah.
That was a really cool moment. I wrote you when I saw that.
Yes.
I was psyched. I was really psyched. And actually, I have a sample of that has Betty Boop on it.
On the Moabs?
Yeah,
Wow.
that we ended up not being able to do. There was a internal thing that sort of happened, and some stuff that had come up where there was sensitivity around the Betty Boop from another project, and we sort of ended up having to take it off, and that's why those ended up friends and family sort of as well.
Interesting.
Which I think is all right to say.
Yeah.
I hope. But yeah, they were really cool. I mean, that was basically a retro too. That was an existing style. But yeah, I love that Moab.
And going back to some of your early days, I know that when we were talking about this, you're like, Fat Joe used to come in, and
Yeah.
the era of the Uncle Dunks and the
Yeah.
Floms. Talk about that time period, seeing the shoes and the people who were gravitating and coming in the stores and buying them.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was crazy time. NORT, I think, is one of the coolest, if not the coolest, sneaker boutique in New York history, especially the Eldred Street one. The Lafayette Street one was cool as well, not to discredit it, but it was just such a special space and time, when all this was really starting to bubble, I think, in many ways, and it was such a small store, with the brick wall and just the way it was built out. It was really visually compelling and strong. And I mean, it was just such a talk about like sort of classic New York, right? And the sort of mixture of like kids from the neighborhood and you know the lower at the time was New York was starting to change, you know, but it was still the lower, it was still LES and interesting characters coming through from family little kids to then like Fat Joe and Alchemist and you know I mean so many others, you know, like just legendary sneaker figures from Europe that Stash and Futura had relationships with, and you know, funny things that I've seen and experienced there.
Is there a legendary story about a owner of a Japanese?
I wanted to ask
You guys know about this?
Okay,
yes.
I saw it.
Thank you. Okay,
Really?
Because
Yes.
I had
He
asked,
talked about-
I had
did he
asked
talk-
Stash about
Can we
this.
say the name
Yeah.
or no?
Oh wow.
I'm going to say the name. You don't have to say the name. I had asked Stash about this, and I'd heard
He
the
did
story
ask
from a
him.
couple different vantage points of who slapped who. But the story I heard is that there was an altercation between Homeo of Atmos and Stash. I don't know if it happened in NORT. It sounds like it did. Somebody owed somebody some money over some bills. Maybe there were sneakers involved. Is there anything you could say about that? You said you saw it happen.
I mean, has Stash ever talked about this?
We had him on the
What did he-
podcast.
what
I
did
do
he
not
say?
remember his
Stash
answer.
said, I forget. We did ask him about that on this podcast, and he kind of demurred. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't answer it in a
I
straightforward
think he was
way.
kind of like, if things happen, things happen.
There
you
was
know?
things happen.
But he also
And-
said I give Alex full permission to tell the details.
oh, he did.
yeah.
Interesting. I don't know about that one, but
Yeah.
but things happen, and I happened to be there for that along with Sean and Matt, two amazing dudes that I worked with there. You know, that was just such a
When-
what a
Who
wild
slapped
time.
who?
You know, I don't know.
So yeah,
I don't even know if it came to slaps, but there was something
when
that
you see things like that happening, you know, because that's so many years ago, and you're back of your head, or you're like, I'm witnessing a weird like piece of like streetwear history that's occurring right now, or
I mean, at that time I was young, you know, like, so I don't even necessarily think so. I was just like, well, that's crazy, you know. And there was a lot of like, I mean, I had dudes flash knives. I've had, you know,
Over
like
what?
Releases?
over wanting to take a JD Sport back that he said was yellowed, that wasn't, you know, and that he bought, and you know, things like that, wanting things early, and everything was always no tax, and you know, there was just, you know, there was just a lot of funny things, debauchery and whatnot that went on, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't there for the blackout, you know, that
What
that
happened
was,
at NORT when the blackout hit?
you know, I think Neil and who was sort of an OG Supreme dude, and maybe even it was like Joe Thompson or some of those dudes held it down at the time. They pulled up. Bob's was a kind of really cool legendary bar next door, and they held down the block, and you know, they were good in the hood, you know, like
Yeah.
the neighborhood. So A-Life was a different story from what I heard, but I don't think anything really happened. But you know, there was always a lot going on over there. It was always
Were there big
interesting.
lineups in that era when you were working at
There,
NORT?
there wasn't really, you know, it wasn't necessarily. There was, I think, like the Espo was, and I think
Okay.
Espo might have came through with like an ice cream truck or something around that time for that one. I wasn't working there just yet. And Jay Kwan, 360 Toy Group had a store that was on that block. It was just, you know, such a unique little stretch of retail.
Yeah.
but like, did the uncles like release at NORT when you were
Yeah.
there? And
Yeah,
what,
yeah.
what are like those days like? Where like in hindsight, you probably know that it's a big shoe, but like looking back now,
Yeah.
such an iconic shoe. What were those like days like when an uncle would release?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be a big shoe then, you know, and we were really fair, you know, there wasn't like backdooring and things like that going on.
Not at all?
Nah, not that I honestly, really, not that I remember any of that. Matt and Sean just weren't like built like that, and myself either. And you know, it was really like we all knew. I remember like bringing them down into the basement and
Yeah.
seeing them being like, this is going to be a big shoe, and it was a big shoe, but I don't know what it's worth.
'Cause I feel like in
now,
that
but-
era though, it's not like backdooring like it is nowadays, where it's like you're not selling someone like 18 pairs of
Yeah.
uncles, but it was very like, I don't know how it was at NORT, but it was very much like if you knew someone, like they'd hold you a pair and you could come through and pick it
Yeah.
up, sort of
Yeah,
situation.
totally. We did
that-
do that, and
Yeah.
but it wasn't like, you know, it was just holding it for them because
Yeah.
they were consistent shopping. Like there was this crazy guy, what was his name? You know, he had a Bentley and he would show up, then a Ferrari, and, you know, and he would just come every week and drop so,
Yeah.
you know, and like, it was kind of a pain in the ass, to be honest, but like, we would hold him down, you know, and like, yeah, Fat Joe or whoever it was, you know, if they wanted a pair, we would hold them down because they were family, you
Was
know.
Fat
like,
Joe into like the SBs?
Nah, he was an Air Force
Force
One guy,
One, yeah.
and I think his, you know, one of his old bros. I don't know if they're still even, you know, but he would come through for him a lot because, you know, I'm sure Joe is busy but yeah, you know, like we would if somebody asked, and I mean, and then even neighborhood kids, you know, like
Yeah.
that just wanted it. You know, it was really like it was still such a smaller thing at that point. You know, it was still more the real crazy numbers and resale value and things like that really, I think, kind of corrupted you know, like sneakers to a degree, hadn't fully blossomed yet, you know.
You said hold them down, hold you down, Alchemist.
Hey, the segue. Look
Yeah,
at that. Look at that.
There he
Let's
goes.
Couldn't let that one go. I know you had posted it like, you know, a few months back, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I didn't realize that was you. So people don't know, it's Alchemist and Prodigy, and in the music video, they're going around to all these different places and shopping. In the kind of underlying plot is that their money's not good anywhere, but they can buy everything with the advanced copy of their CD.
Yeah.
So they walk into NORT, pick out all the Air Force Ones, and then they Alchemist tries to like pay for it in cash, and you were the cashier. You wave him off, and he gives you the CD and gets the shoes.
Yeah, that's all it took, a CD.
See?
I'm easy. Yeah, that was you know, their concept, and it was you know, that was a really cool moment. At the time too, still kind of, you know, just was like I mean, Prodigy is such a legend, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's so sad that he left us so young. What a gifted, you know, I mean, just nobody has lyrics and just put things together like him, and that was, you know, super cool to be in this video with him. To be honest, I actually didn't even post it. Paul or someone like an account posted it, and then Paul PG knows put it up, our Armenian bro, and
There's
you know,
like people are like, how is Paul not the first Armenian guest on the show? It's Alex, which I'm obviously happy to have you, but everyone's like, we need Paul on the show. We need Paul on the show.
I mean, I should have brought him. He and I could have been up here freestyling.
Would
could've got him?
whoa. You and PG were freestyling back in the day?
I'm joking.
Think you could have got him
Was
here?
was he a rapper?
No, I don't know.
I thought it was just a joke.
I was hoping we were uncovering some more hidden history.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
If you're the one who can make it happen, that would be incredible, because we've been begging him
Yeah,
for
the
what feels like years
chicken
now.
scarpiello and the pasta didn't
Was
get him
not
here. We're not
sufficient.
sure. We took him to an expensive dinner. It's still not here, but we'll see.
Yeah, and I want to go to one of these dinners.
Yeah.
What's good?
Say less. Say less.
But the, you know, you said the thing getting posted online.
Yeah. So yeah. You know, it was. I was actually gonna save it to maybe post around now. We could hype this up, but it was. You know, I think like I just became friends with the Alchemist. You know, from shopping there. And
He's a huge sneaker
yeah.
head anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I lost touch with him over the years, but he definitely was. He was one of those dudes that always came through. And then he was like, "Yo, we want to film this video in here. You think it's all?" And I, you know, hit up Lenny and Stash, and they were like, "Yeah, cool, whatever," you know, and just sort of like we did it. I brought in. There's a probably 80s or early 90s box. I forget what they were, but of dead stock, something that Dave actually gave me, or I had from Packers.
Back when Dave
That's
Farraker
in the
was a
stack if
Packer.
you look. Yeah, 'cause it's
Yeah.
all like the orange and brown box era.
Yeah.
But then like I brought in like some dead stock, and it's in there, and yeah, it was a funny thing. It was a cool thing. Had the crazy like hat tilt. I was like embarrassing.
I
But
feel like one of the guys who's in that same orbit, you know, I know he was close with Paul back then, is Leo Gamboa. You
Yeah.
guys did Starks together, right?
yeah.
Yeah, how
Leo-
did you start that up? Lace company, accessories
You know,
for sneakers.
I met Leo in NORT. You know, he worked construction at the time, and
Yeah.
and you know, Leo is an OG lowhead and sneakerhead as I was, and anyone that grew up in New York City. And you know, we just hit it off. He would come through with his young son, and you know, just super nice dude. And you know, at the time, Leo also was like an amazing sneaker hustler, you know,
Yeah.
like he you know, just
He was telling me about he and Paul used to go to the sneaker,
Yeah.
soul
Yeah.
collector events just with a table full
Yeah,
of
Paul
crazy
said he used to
samples.
walk into like Leo's house and just see a kitchen table full of shoes
Yeah.
he'd never seen before, like
he
samples and whatnot.
he won some like sneaker contest at
Yeah.
Nike Town that I happened to be at with Stash and Futura. I remember being in like some secret room in Nike Town that we didn't know exists at this event, and like he won, and I was kind of like, oh, Leo from the shop, and
Yeah.
you know,
Do you
I
remember
was
what he
like,
won?
he got some like super rare Jordan 9, you know, like a player exclusive or something. I can't. There's a picture of him in like Times Square holding it. I can't remember
Oh wait,
what it was.
maybe it's one of the
but
One Piece, like the deerskin Jordan.
maybe it
9
was that. It
sample?
was like
Yeah.
orange or
Yeah,
or
that's
like
what I'm
a
thinking of off the top of my head.
golden
He'll correct
brown.
us if we're
Yeah.
wrong, yeah.
But yeah, you know, so we became, you know, friends, and I, you know, at the time everyone was doing like t-shirt lines, right? Like it wasn't like anyone in downtown that didn't have a t-shirt line, and I went to school for menswear and marketing, and you know, had a
FIT.
Yeah, FIT, and had a you know, proper background in you know, I mean, even tailoring and you know, couture seams and all this stuff that we learned. You know, we were drafting patterns and whatever, and I wanted to sort of challenge. It's really easy to get a t-shirt blank and print, you know, in a graphic. I wanted to challenge myself. Growing up skateboarding, you know, skate sneakers always came with an extra lace, you know, and I always kind of like swapping out laces. I remember I had like breads before they were name breads, and had the double lace in them, like a red and a black lace. And you know, just always really liked laces, so I wanted to sort of challenge myself with that. And you know, with accessories, there's really high minimums, right? So you have to produce like 1,000 or 500 on some after I started doing a good amount of business with them. And you know, Leo, knowing what he knows about sneakers, and you know, just his sort of mentality, like he's one of those people, he gets into, he goes, you know, 120%, was I thought would be a good partner. So we did Starks together, and it was a really cool thing. And at that time I had switched from NORT to Supreme. So you know, yeah, Pookie, who lived above NORT, actually got me a job at Supreme, because you know, it's like a tight, close-knit group of New York City skateboarders. You know, like he kind of got selected for something like that.
Were you guys doing like, I think I remember, like, maybe I'm off, but like cement print laces and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Did Jordan Brand, because I know at the same time there was like Mike
23, yeah.
Yeah.
which
Oh
a
yeah.
good friend of our the show, Michael Vincent, was
Yeah.
like part of, but he got like
He got fully, like, his whole company got cease and desist.
yeah. But did Jordan Brand hit you up for doing cement print laces?
No,
or?
I collaborated. We collaborated with Nike.
Air
and
Force One, Clark Kent one.
yeah. And then again with Lance Armstrong and Livestrong laces, and something else too, like a City Pack. There was a few things, and I did in SB, but that wasn't. It was gonna be Starks, and then ended up not being. But actually, Bradley got a whole page of press for that in Complex that got turned down by Nike, which was pretty devastating. But yeah, I mean, no, nothing ever happened, which I'm surprised. And then there was a Gucci lace, and actually that one was
I remember that
Leo's
one.
idea. He was on a construction gig in Midtown and saw somebody walking with like a shopping bag, and the string, the handle was like a lace, you know, and he was like, which
Red
was
and
an
green.
amazing one. Yeah, the stripe. And, you know, I don't know that you can sort of like copyright stripes, although a project that I worked on later on, a 917 Nike thing, supposedly Tom Brown went after them on
Oh, okay. The stripes,
the
yeah.
red, white, navy, which was originally, we had a whole Wimbledon colorway that, you know, didn't pass legal, and then it went to that. But anyways, yeah, the cement print was nothing ever happened with it.
We always talk about accessories and big box, like selling accessories at like Finish Line and Foot Locker. The slabs with all the laces. So many times, like you said, a black and red 11, we would put. Do you want to have the black and red laces back in the day? Did you ever think of getting into a big box chain retailer?
We were approached, and I, you know, thought about it, but I also like my mindset has always been like quality over quantity, and I've never really gravitated towards any sort of mass type of situation and things, you know, especially at the time being submerged in Supreme and, you know, in the world and sort of the cloth that I was cut from, like. I never wanted to. I'd rather Colette order like 3 laces and like
Totally.
Supreme and have it in stores like that. And I mean, I think I even remember James being like, Alex, you gotta like sell to these, like that's, you're not gonna make money with it otherwise. But it wasn't. It was really more like to have a creative outlet of my own to see what it was like to run a business, and curiosity and just sort of.
How long did you stay with Starks, or were you there until?
It was my thing. I mean,
I wasn't sure if you left and sold it or anything.
Yeah, I could have kept doing it, but I just sort of didn't want to do it. I started becoming known as like the lace man almost. It was like the Seinfeld, like the ass man license plate. I was like, I'm not just the lace man, like I do so much more.
Wasn't there a $100 Ben Trill lace at one point?
Yeah, and then that was probably one of the last things that we did. Like
were people mad? $100 pair of shoes?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't price them, and I would definitely wouldn't have done that. I'm sure they were. I mean, I would have been, but that was like I just knew
you would have been.
Yeah, like my homie Cam and Heron and whatever, and like they had hit me up to do some work, and which was a debacle, and then they were like, yeah, do a lace, and I think they sold it at V-Files. It was a couple laces. I don't know if I think it was like maybe 4 laces or 5 laces that sold for 100. I don't know. It was like 100 per lace.
Right.
I hope that was the case.
100 just for the left, and then another 100 for the right.
Exactly. But yeah, that was a wild one.
Yeah.
You did the Shugu
Yeah.
punk, right?
Yeah. That's the Shugu was my first time ever working with Nike, which was, I think it was like, came out right when the recession in 2008 hit, which was quite an experience. And I was, at that time still doing retail for Supreme. So I literally like designed them, the whole thing, and then even like ordered them because I was also the footwear buyer for Supreme, and then unpacked them and priced them and laced them up, put them on the floor.
It was
like the whole 360. And also, like I think one of the worst things I've ever created.
Wow.
I mean, I shouldn't say that because it still holds a special place in my heart, but I would have done things way differently. It was like sort of a first up to bat. I was still super young. And I liked conceptually, the whole thing, but there was people that I remember going to clientele talking, I think with like Matt George and Joe,
Clientele's right across the street from
Supreme at the time, right across the street. And because I had an age midsole, I've always loved age midsoles and playing on whites. I've been doing that, I think, probably the longest. It's funny, it's become such a trend, right?
For sure.
But and I kind of wanted to go with that one, but like at the time, age soles flopped so hard, like it wasn't. They did the Air Jordan KO a little bit after, and it was like a brick.
I think they did a bunch of like vintage running shoes at the same time too that nobody liked.
Yep. I think those might even have been Junior, right?
Yeah, Junior was
we gave them a full
we
gave them a full page in Complex, and I think they sat.
Yeah, well, they've and they're so good now too. And I mean, you open up any of those old Lightning catalogs or whatever, and you see, I mean, but I ended up going with that sort of clear, translucent sort of like, which would look kind of like Shugu when it hardens, which was conceptually strong, but I don't know. I didn't know that I liked the tongue, but it was a good learning experience. It was interesting. I definitely made a lot of mistakes on that. I got into it with some of the people over that press situation that Bradley was so kind to hook up.
What happened?
Like it just wasn't. It's not how you go about things. It was me being young.
You were like hitting Bradley for Complex Press, and he would do it, but they wanted to
the official Nike
they
channel.
wanted to streamline.
Listen, man, if you don't go through the official Nike channel,
which was
forbid.
totally
But
on
Bradley,
me.
Bradley was like in the scene and like probably talking to, and you guys were and like talking to you, and that's
and
how a
probably
lot
just natural.
a lot of it came about. Yeah.
Yep.
You need 7 Nike PR people
Right.
on that phone call, buddy.
Right.
And that was me being young and not knowing how to handle things. And then I even think I wrote like a scathing email at the end of it and like CC'd everyone. It was like such
the
a
Nike
bad,
people?
that were SB, dudes on C. Just like so young, so stupid.
That's how it happens even now. Like that's how
But
things happen.
But you're still working with Nike.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's-
like we got over it or whatever. I'm still friends with it. It was one dude in particular that turned it, and he just turned it down in like the most kind of like, I don't know, like toxic masculinity way.
It didn't
was
end
like,
up running in
yeah.
Complex though.
No, it didn't, because they. But you know, like to say like I didn't know what I was doing, right? Like you need to clear that. You need to first go to PR and say, hey, you know, like I have this potential opportunity, and like, how do you feel about this? It has to be collaborative. It has to be, and Nike controls all that, and they're very protective, as they need to be. So you know, I learned over the years, but there's so much stuff like that that goes behind every single sneaker release, like, you know, that the public never knows about. Things, amazing ideas that get shut down for, you know, one person's ego, or you know, like things like that.
Politics.
Politics. And
do you remember like the reaction to the shoe? Because I know like '08 for SB was like right on that line where it wasn't quite like the golden era, but like SBs were still like had a little bit of buzz. Like what was that like, dropping an SB like in that time period?
Yeah, it was like still, I feel like maybe the Tiffany's had come out prior to that, right? And there was still short. When did those come out?
Tiffany was 05, I think.
05?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was a bit earlier. It was starting to kind of slow down, and that was the thing, was like the stories, and you know, like
I think it was right when the Doom Dunks had maybe
come
out.
And that was actually one of the, it took like there was a lot of start and stop. There was so many samples. I mean, you know, just talk about like amateur moves. Like I, you know, was driving the poor product line manager crazy. I think he actually like said something like,
was this Rob Cece at the time, or who was this?
No, I can't even remember his name. But I think Rob was just in sales.
Okay.
Or always was in sales. I don't think he was ever, you know, on a creative, but could be wrong on that. But he was like, he said something like, you need to stop like hitting the pipe and like, you know, tweaking with this thing. Like you're like, I was driving them crazy, you know. But there's actually one of my favorite details about that, dunk flaps always sort of would fall down. I put a little like bar tack stitch so that wouldn't happen on those. That
I always wore them with the flaps just giving
all
up.
over the place.
Especially the no-liners. I remember the NL, the brown NLs.
The undefeateds,
exactly. And the flaps just being like, we're not even trying. We met at Supreme because I was probably going to get samples from you that Bradley put in. Talk about some of the releases there that I always tell the story that I was like, Bradley obviously being one of my mentors, like the Supreme Blazer. And I never wear white sneakers. Never. To this day, still don't really wear white sneakers. And he was like, hey.
Biggest mistake of your career?
Well, one of them, not biggest mistake. Joking. Yeah. Footwear, but he was like, hey, like, I think we could get these Supreme Blazers. What color do you want? And I was like so influenced by him, where he was like, the white one's the best pair. And I was like, I loved red and I love black still to this day. And he was like, yeah, the white one's clearly the best pair. I was like, I'm going to get the white one too. And he like got me to get the white pair. Never ever worn them. He wore them and like you know, they look normal and great on him. But talk about a roundabout way of saying, like, talk about like some of those projects that you were there for, and like your involvement and like what that era was like.
At that time, I didn't work on that blazer.
Okay.
But I love that.
You were there. Were you there at the store?
Yeah, I was. At that time, it was just retail.
Was it a hectic release day when they dropped?
Oh yeah. That was definitely a hectic one. Those old Nike. I mean, you know, there was a lot of sort of milestones in Supreme's trajectory, but like obviously the first dunk low was, you know, because that was what sort of, I think, changed from like a predominantly Japanese market, and then getting it right away early from even like, you know, the movie Kids, I think, was such a launching point for Supreme. And, you know, the Washington Square Park scene with like Pang, or, you know, one of those dudes wearing Supreme box logo in the fight, you know, and then like them doing inspiration shopping, coming to New York and seeing these guys in the store, like wilding out, acting the same, you know, it was like the early stages of blending commerce and retail, you know, and sort of like those lines morphing, you know, that we have nowadays. But it was just a huge shoe. Those first couple Nike Supreme collaborations really like opened up Supreme, I think, to a whole new audience, and also just like what was happening with SB at the time. But yeah, those Blazers were amazing. And to be honest, I got the red ones. I think I might have gotten even all of them because
So
I
good.
liked them so much. Although I didn't like the tongue. I never
No.
thought I would have rathered a
That
foam
that
tongue.
like luxury leathery,
Yeah.
skinny, right?
It was the same. It had
Yeah.
the quilted stitch, and then it had like a leather applique with a little like gilded gold swoosh that I
Right,
remember.
right.
It was that part was like a little too much. Like the back was perfect. I thought maybe a foam tongue would have been a little more like Orchard Street and like the ref, but yeah, those were. But the white, I get it. That is that the
Yeah.
white sneaker that traumatized you. It took me a while to start
Well,
wearing.
It's not even no. It was before that I would never wore white, but the black and red ones would be like one that on any given day if
You'd
I
wear.
I would like look and be like,
There's the picture of Kanye like lacing up the red pair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
try to
Backstage.
justify like, oh, do I
I
really
think
want to
so.
drop a lot of money on these? Like even today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like
Wasn't it we had Brooklyn Dom on the show, and he said that he like ordered all those shoes from Nike, and they got pissed at him.
It was either that or the Supreme Dunk, where he had like figured out the SKU and found a way
Oh, I think it was
to,
the Dunk.
to call his rep and order the SKU, and then being like, still shipping them and not realizing until later you can't have those.
He like somehow siphoned all his Supremes
Yeah.
like supply on the shoe and just had him sitting.
Oh
in it.
wow, yeah, that's kind of shady. 304292, I think, is
Wow.
a 6 color for a dunk, and then the color code would be a 3-digit after. I think
Yeah.
all of them started with that. Yeah, that was, yeah.
you were heavy into the accessory design, which is one of Supreme's staples now. Every time, even obviously to this day, they announce the new lineup and people are looking at the accessories. What are some that you were really proud that you had a hand in?
With Supreme, it's like one of those things. Like Supreme is such a mystery, and
Right.
James likes. I think it's always good to kind of keep it say less about Supreme,
Got it.
there was a couple. There was some of the.
What are your favorite Supreme accessories? Wink, wink. You know,
Crowbar, punching bag.
boxing gloves.
Yeah, the Bible stash book was really, and that was actually a friend of mine's idea that pitched to me. But there was conceptually, I think just overall the idea, and a lot of it was from New York culture and things like, mini bats and stuff like that. You would go to Shea Stadium
Yeah.
and my graph writers would like hide them in their sleeves, or mag lights, and things like that. And, and just sort of referencing even the batting gloves, and things like that. That like
Method
the
Man,
picture,
yeah.
there you go. I was
Damn,
just about to
Supreme
say,
batting gloves.
but, is just sort of like tying cultural significance behind some of these objects, right? And that approach, and that importance that I think a lot of people are kind of like, what is this, what is it? This makes no sense, why are they doing that? Or
Yeah.
they're just putting, and I think if you didn't know and if you don't understand the cultural importance, you would think that it was just slapping a logo on something, but
Right.
that's really like where the beauty lies in all of it.
But I feel like that's where a lot of like Supreme's like most viral moments have come from.
Yeah.
Are the accessories.
Yeah. Ironically enough, right? And accessories are a great thing, and that's even with the laces, right? It's seasonless, it's genderless. There's well, not all of them, but they're just a unique thing. Like I remember learning in school, like Ralph started with just neckties, right?
Yeah.
Like and to have an angle and to have and even amazing brands at Supreme. There was that old article where they were compared to Chanel, I think, in Vogue, like
Yeah.
many years ago, like 90s.
It's like a
and-
downtown shopping thing, or it's
Yeah.
a shopping scene in New York comparison.
Yeah, it
It's
was
like about Supreme
What-
versus Chanel.
When
Super cool
Supreme got
article.
bought by VF Corp, what was your take on that?
It was interesting, it was an interesting placement, especially because, North Face collaborations were such a thing too. And that was something that, was growing up in New York, North Face was something that was so dear to me. It was such like the 90s New York, like is all Polo and North Face, right? And Nike and
Yeah.
sneakers and kicks. But it was, I mean, I don't know, I mixed feelings, because it was interesting to see, but it's just such an amazing company. I think that is the best brand of our generation, or of the past 2 decades, you could say. And really in the 90s for me, it was just such a special thing back then, for a New York City skater. And skateboarding was this predominantly sort of white California, surf, and New York City skaters were mostly like people of color and a mixture, and it was such a tight-knit community. It was such a sort of I guess kind of anomaly in a sense, because like people would yell at you like, what are you doing, that white boy shit, like it's do a kick, and then like Tony Hawk Pro Skater came in, do a kickflip, and like and the harassment, and it's just such a special time and such a special company. I think there's no other brands, streetwear brands, that kind of come close.
I want to talk about sneakers a little bit more, because you've been involved in so many, and it's hard to tell again how involved or like what you did on certain projects. Can you talk about your work with IRAK on the recent Adidas sneakers?
Yeah. I was in Korea doing a project, and they had one of those is it consortium stores,
the handshake logo.
They had like a special kind of, just like, it was more like an exhibit, and I happened to see them, and I think like Clark Kent or someone had posted them recently, and it just kind of got in my head, it was in the zeitgeist or whatever. And I'd been doing a lot of work with Adidas at the time. I'd done an outerwear line for them, and it's a bunch of Alzheimer's projects and things like that, and had a good working relationship with it. And I just sort of, I'd done a North Face project, and Kunle, I had to model it because Kunle is such a kind of important person to that. Like I was saying, the New York 90s and North Face and what it meant. And he, and he's always been a big inspiration. I think he's a really, really important person to New York culture. And I had a feeling that I could pitch it to Adidas, and Kunle would go for it, and with a little bit of talking everyone into it, but everyone was down, and we kind of went from there, and then Kunle and I from there, then I sort of said, let's do some more merch, because it used to be a brand, right? And that sneaker is like, has a cult following, I think. Like someone had told me there's someone at Adidas in Europe that was like, I would give up a limb for those, things like
for
that.
The original.
Yeah, the original.
Adidas.
And there were some limitations, we had to use a ZX and, different things like that. And we failed Gore-Tex testing like 6 times. Like it was like a legendary, failed attempt on, which would be so well suited for IRAK, this sort of like,
Scrappy,
derelict, scrappy graffiti crew, so there was like models that have, I think, like 2018, 2019, and then finally 2020, and then COVID happens. And I mean, just talk about like, funny things that come up in these projects so often that nobody hears about. But it was really cool to work with Kunle on that. And then IRAK, and then like Virgil, wore the hat to that Nike fashion show, which is probably one of the last big events, where he's also in the Leaf, Arc'teryx in the picture with like Drake and all, which then also put this spotlight on it for all these young kids that unfortunately
Travis Scott starts popping out with
Travis Scott, he won it then too, and and Virgil bought that. It just shows like how amazing he was and supportive he was. It jammed up because the credit card, I think, was a French address or whatever. They thought it was fraud or something like that.
Wait, Virgil bought the IRAK hat himself, and his credit card couldn't go through.
They thought it was, and that was just so cool of him to do. Funny enough, like I mean, it was a really cool moment. It was a really cool thing, and those sneakers, I think everyone got so excited about, and so much of what goes into sneakers and their success is the buy that gets placed, and I think they kind of ordered way too many of them because Europe was just like geeking on them and freaking on them, but it was a really cool project. It was one of the important projects for me.
And you get to do the quarter snack dunks as
yeah.
well, and I think that one's interesting too, because you talk about the shoe goo dunk kind of being at like the end of Nike's first run of SB or the popularity, but then you do the quarter snacks, and it's right in the middle of like when the Nike SB re-emergence, so you kind of get like the second go where the shoes maybe even like receive bigger than the first one was.
The first one I didn't really work on. I came in at the end,
the first quarter
dunk, and cleaned up a little bit and did some things, which then also led into another dunk that went through a whole like ringer of things that sort of became iShod's refined, you know, sort of
the slim down
yeah,
version.
the slim down one. But that was a whole other interesting like behind the scenes story to that one that I won't get into. But yeah, that was a really cool moment. Like I think Travis, you know, started wearing SBs and it just SB started becoming this thing again, the second coming of them all, and those were supposed to come out a little earlier too, but it was cool. Costa, funny enough, Costa owns Quarter Snacks, does Quarter Snacks, is like you know, like a younger brother to me. Like he actually used to ship Stark's laces and did our website and everything. I've, you know, been friends with them forever, and we did actually a few Nike projects, but of course the Dunk is the one that, you know, everyone. But yeah, that was a really cool project. It was a really cool time, and then, you know, trying to reference the old NYC logo, which was a cool thing. And
Yeah, Nike NYC lockup.
Yep,
classic,
lockup
yeah.
that almost didn't happen too, but somebody went to bat for it, which was amazing. And yeah, that was a really another sort of sneaker. I really didn't want to do a print, but Costa was his time to, because the past ones had been more toned down. He normally
The one was like all black.
Black
for
suede,
yeah,
I think,
yeah, and he was like, I want to go crazy this time, and I was like, but right now, like the color block is the move, you know. And it was, there's always those sort of things and discussions, but I think that print and then, you know, the sort of cultural tie back to zebra cakes and to Quarter Snacks and to all those sort of things was a nice touch.
Is there a shoe that you always wanted to work on that you haven't got a chance to work on yet? One that, if, you know, especially with working with Olivia and then working on your own stuff as well, is there one that you would love to get your chance at?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many, right? Yeah. Like, you know, I was a kid that like used to put the sneakers when I first got them on the sneaker box and put it on my table and just like stare at them, and you know, like common stories you hear, but it's just you know, I love sneakers so greatly. Like, I mean, rod lavers. I've always loved rod lavers. An Air Max 120. I've always loved Air Max 120s. That was a really cool sneaker in downtown. Air Max 95, just because that was like, we used to call them the old dirty grays. I was so obsessed with those. Hirachis, that was one of the first like nice sneakers that I, you know, Jordan 4s was a big one. That was really cool to get to work on, because that was like, you know, I came from a very working class, middle class family, and like my brother got those fire reds, and that was, I think, what started it all for me. Great. So that was, you know, and to be able to get the Nike Air on the back was really a big thing too, you know.
99 pairs with the Nike Air,
yeah, it's just so important to, on Olivia's.
Oh,
you know,
I see.
That was, you know, the first time I think on a woman's that it existed as well, which was a pretty cool moment and thing. And they made a pair for our daughter, which was like so cool, one of one. That was like, I think that's probably the coolest like sneaker that we have. But yeah, probably 120s. If you had told me this, I could have. There's definitely.
You would have had a list of like.
Oh man, I mean,
your demands.
Put it out in the atmosphere. I want this shoe, this shoe, this shoe.
I even Jordan 2 low. Like I mean, it just depends, you know, because things go in cycles, right? Yeah. And the sneakers that we gravitate towards, you know, depends, because something becomes so big and you kind of get sick of it, and then, you know, like a Jordan 1, you know, like, and I love Jordan 1s, and then like Jordan 1s that kind of was like just became so popular. It's like, you know, but that would be another definitely dream one.
As someone who's worked with so many brands, what footwear brands now do you really like?
You know, kind of everything. Funny enough, I got really passionate about sort of like I guess you could say wellies. It's like an English term for like the boots that, you know, I guess Kanye started wearing, and then it became a thing. We were doing this landscaping project, and, you know, the landscapers were all wearing them with the pants tucked in, and, you know, like, I guess with the comfort of the pandemic and you know, Bostons and Crocs and, you know, the sort of like ugly footwear trend or whatever that, you know, became such a thing, slip-ons and, you know, I think a very important thing with footwear is how it looks with your jeans or with your shorts, and matching up in proportions and how all those things work. So lately I've been super into like gardening boots or farm boots, I guess you could say. And I have actually a project coming that I worked on with my good friends at Sky High Farm, Dan, Daphne, and Maddie, that I'm really excited about.
Another IRAK connection, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was, I've been known Dan, and my wife and I've been friends with him a long time, but that was sort of like the starting point, which was a really, I think, like a really cool project. I loved how that IRAK stuff turned out with Sky High. And you know, it's an amazing farm upstate New York, a nonprofit. Everyone should check it out if they've never heard of it, or look it up. It's for a good cause, and, you know, food justice, and
so when Kanye wears those, you get it.
Yeah, well, you know what? And then so like I saw this thing, I started doing it because to me, and I've been living in Seattle for a bit, or bi-coastal, between here and New York. We still have our place here, but you know, like in the summer months you can wear the Boston, but it gets so rainy and whatever, and it's kind of like the same thing, especially, you know, like this one brand Boggs that you can slip into them. They have handles and you can get it, and they have a little kick step, so it's, and like they look good with all your pants if you have the confidence to tuck the jean in, which is the one thing that takes a minute to kind of get over.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's sort of the tough point, but like you can see that it looks good, you know, like Kanye has made it look good, and then the Balenciaga Crocs. And then, you know, and I think these things collectively happen, right? Something gets in the zeitgeist where everyone starts gravitating towards it, and it starts becoming a thing. And I just really started liking it. So I'm super excited about that. And then I have another one that with the brand that, you know, I probably shouldn't name just yet, but and it's actually just an SMU, but it's you know, one of my most favorite brands since childhood, and the most, you know, I think the most legendary American designer, and a culturally important New York shoe. So I'm super excited about that.
I was going to throw out some guesses, but
yeah, you would get it right away.
Okay.
But
I want to ask you one more question before we get out of here. Didn't you say that Mark Parker came to NORT one time when you were working there?
Yeah.
What was that like?
He did. I think they might have all like been on the PJ too with Stash, and
all the Nike executives.
You know, I don't even think I knew who he was at the time.
I guess he would have been CEO at that point.
Yeah, he was, but I you know, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, cool, you know, like, but yeah, that was a cool moment, and. There's you know, like another cool moment. I think it was in Complex actually. I sent it to you, but I'm wearing Bobbito's shirt from Where'd You Get Those, which is such an amazing book. And you know, I grew up listening to Stretch and Bobbito. Those are like two, you know, people that are so important to me as well. And I'm holding a box, and Fat Joe and Sean, and it's so cool. You know, like that was another really cool NORT moment. But yeah, Mark Parker, I was like, oh, who's that?
You work for Nike?
For people yelled at him for like messing up the shoes on the wall. You're like, hey, don't unlace the display.
One thing I always like asking when we have people who worked in like the cool retail stores, any very random celebrities that used to come consistently that people may not have thought of, that were like good, that like you don't see, obviously it was pre-social media and stuff like that, but people who were into it who we may not have known.
You know, so many. Like, I mean, Dave Chappelle at the time, and then like one of the idiot coworkers like scared him away by kind of fanning out on him. He never came again. But his kid skated, and he would.
That
come
was at
in
NORT or at Supreme?
Supreme.
Okay.
Most Def, who you know, I ended up becoming. Well, I guess he doesn't go by that anymore, but became Yasin Bey, became friendly with. Was such a rad dude. Like, talk about a, you know, gifted mind, and just eccentric, interesting character. Got really into skateboarding, and then just so happened to love sneaker laces. And he was like Stark's biggest supporter. Wow. He wore him in like a neighborhood shoot that you know, and was just like always in the shop hanging out for hours, just like gripping boards, or we were gripping, showing him how to grip boards.
Wow.
He was gripping boards.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many, you know, like I forget. I remember like Kid Rock's publicist called us up and was like, make sure you roll out the red carpet, and we were like,
wow,
and like goofed him. So it was like so lame.
Kid Rock wanted to skip the line at Supreme.
Like, we were like, yeah, all right.
Photo T coming soon.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many stories from Supreme. I mean, and then also aggro customers, and you know, because the sneakerhead, once the resale thing started happening, people would get crazy. Like this dude threw a De La Soul dunk. It was like the last one, size 13, at the wall, and like, you know, like craziness, because I don't know what happened. You know,
The high?
Yeah, the high. And like one of the OGs, you know, amazing New York City skateboarder, and I think like ran and grabbed like a bat or a hammer.
Wow.
Like,
A little mini Supreme bat?
The accessory.
yeah. That's again, he said that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Where those
Utilitarian.
tiebacks, we had the original bat that had like a "gonna get you sucker" somebody rid on or something that was on that bat, you know. But yeah.
Wow.
Too many stories,
Well,
too
I
many
bet-
interesting
I bet.
people to name. I mean, Diddy and Malcolm McLaren, you know, like, I mean, when they were filming that, you know, to artists like Damien Hirst, and really interesting people over the years.
You ever walk in and like get nostalgia anymore or no?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm so emotionally invested in that brand. My time there, I was, you know, there for about a decade. Is, you know, some of the most important work, and you know, as a collective of all of us, that, you know, I think it will always be really special for me.
Do you tell them to roll out the red carpet when you're coming in?
Yeah, my old friends there like probably like curse me out when I show up. No, they're still cool, and you know, and with all the rep with that store, like a lot of it, you know, I think that was part of the interest about it all. You know, it's kind of like going to a retail space with respect. You know, for, as you should, for everyone and anyone. Don't just like start messing up, you know, the shelves that are neatly folded, or act like, you know, the whole like customer is always right. Like, I don't know, you know, like I think it's important to treat everyone with respect, right? And you know, and some of it used to be a little wild back in the day. I think it's probably gotten better over the years.
Sure.
I don't know. I hardly am in there anymore, but you know.
Yeah, definitely me as a young intern, I was a little shook to go in there. Like, you know?
Well, that skate culture too. The
Yeah.
music was loud. It was bright. Like my friends that I grew up with in the city would come in and always kind of be like, "I feel uncomfortable in here." Like I was like, "Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine."
Yeah. You mentioned a couple projects that you're working on. You kind of like were obscure about it. Is there anything that before we go you want to talk about, or wait and see, or what? I know that you always got your hands in something.
Yeah, you know, nothing that's I already sort of mentioned.
Yeah.
Nothing that maybe comes to mind at the moment. But and also it's like, you know, you always got to be kind of like careful with those things. You don't want to upset anyone. But I mean, all of it really. You know, I really try to always take on work and that I think has significance, and try my hardest. You know, I mean, when you've put as much product into the world as someone like myself, like it starts to weigh on you, you know, like every little detail really matters, because these are things that could end up in landfill, or, you know, that are contributing to climate change. We all have all creative designers, I think, have a real importance to really try their best to make sure that something comes out as perfect as it could, that people will cherish it and will love it, you know, for years, and hopefully end up in a vintage store or whatever. So.
Awesome. Alex, thanks so much for joining us. This has been the Complex Sneakers Podcast. We hope everyone has a great weekend. Please like, subscribe. We will see you next week.
Thank you.